and you would still try to use the guts for something.
Oh, for sure. It was another weapon, you know what I mean? I'm going to hit you with this L bracket right here. Don't catch this L.
Who catch me slipping if I'm actually thinking you're acting different, manic, spitting sounds of manic depressant. Go
ahead, I'm sorry. G.I. Joe.
No, but like G.I. Joe, like you could, it was the best movable action figure. They haven't come, there's not figures that you could do that again with. Like,
There's nothing like it.
No, like you could get them in like sniper position, prone, crouching, you know,
all the real crouching tiger, hidden dragon. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. The best part of G.I. Joe's, like if you had a good amount, like my cousin had he probably has a bucket to this day of maybe like 100.
Yeah.
You know, like at least right around there, maybe in the 80s or something like that.
Yeah.
And you know what? If I would buy, like if they had like a bucket full, I would just buy a bunch. Like if someone was just getting rid of them. Oh, and they had like the best
accessories.
Bro, like the vehicles were amazing.
G.I. Joes were the best toys. I don't really think it's even and the only, you know what made a problem? You know what was a problem with G.I. Joes though, was that they had that rubber band, like that.
Yeah, and it would snap.
Yeah, and it would snap all the fucking time.
Yeah, and then the thing is, you couldn't. There was no, like, I never learned of the right rubber band to put back.
Mm-hmm.
So you would end up trying to put like a regular rubber band, and his butt is all loose.
Yeah, he'd be all bouncing and shit.
Talking,
bouncing everywhere.
Switching when they walk. Yeah. No, but I mean that's G.I. Joe. Well, no. I think they give credit to like Star Wars for being like one of the most successful. But then like G.I. Joe became, and then He-Man. Did you see? Have you seen Netflix?
No, I know what you're talking about, but I haven't seen it.
So they talk about how He-Man was actually created just to be a toy.
To be a toy, yeah.
That rivaled, and then they created the comic and
the spin-off,
and all the spin-off. And that was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles started off as a comic.
Yes.
That just went, that started catching off, and the guys who started it, they hired this manager.
Mm-hmm.
Who was kind of just like almost a better businessman.
Yeah.
He had more vision than they did.
For sure.
So he would just open it up, and he did the movie. Mm-hmm. Like he said, yo, we should do this movie. And they're like, this is not really a kid movie.
Yeah.
And so they were real worried and ended up doing like insane.
Yeah. Well, it's important to note that the comic books were actually kind of dark.
Yeah.
The Ninja Turtle comic books were kind of dark. And I think that the first movie echoes closer to the comic book than the second movie does. The second movie goes like,
more commercial. They have the song.
Yeah, they finally introduced Bebop and Rocksteady.
Yeah. Vanilla Ice.
The first scene is fire though in that movie. I don't remember. That's when the dude the Asian dude delivers the pizza. And it's just a bunch of foot soldiers. He actually ends up beating the shit out of all the foot soldiers. It's mad random. I don't really understand that part of the movie, but
it's funny because the other one where they go like into China.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the third one in the past, yeah.
I thought when I was a kid, I thought that was a good movie.
Oh, it's horrible.
Did you, as a kid,
I fucking hated it as a kid. It was very clearly the worst one.
Oh,
again,
yeah, it was.
I'm a comic book nerd. The first one was always my favorite one.
Oh, of course. But the third one, as a kid, I just enjoyed
I always had the third one. It always made me think of the third Back to the Future, which was also bad. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's bad, but it just wasn't as good as 1 and 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it made me think of that. But
well, what's funny? You have you have this up there.
Yeah.
So you see where it says the He-Man lot?
Yeah, I definitely had that green tiger at the top left right there.
Yeah. That was He-Man's like
that was his homeboy. Yeah.
But basically they were showing how like I have that one, so I have a couple that I found. I got the double-headed one, and they both made like a punch.
Yeah.
And I got the guy right between the Skeletor and the green sucky thing towards the right, that he's like orange and blue.
Yep, Yep, I have him.
So the thing is, what they were saying is one of the robot at the bottom. One of the things that they said they
we
messed
all had
up
the
with
same fucking toys. Go ahead, yeah.
was that they made so many villains
Uh-huh.
because they were just selling these toys.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening was they weren't making enough He-Man, so
Mm.
they weren't making enough of the good guys. So then,
Yeah.
what ended up happening was like, people like stores would have like 1,000. I think they even mentioned like 1,000 of the Bumblebee dude. Just like a bunch overstock of like the other figures that weren't even major characters.
Yeah.
The thing, but when it's an interesting to show how they almost work backwards. Like even this thing right here.
Yeah.
They said that like when they first created the skull, was Gray Skull or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the opening wasn't even big enough for the men.
Yeah, which we could kind of see right here. Like,
yeah, so they had to make
that looks like me walking into a club right there. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, let's.
Yeah. So,
bro.
But G.I. Joe man had like the best.
Yeah, like, look at this small. It's like a flat in New York.
It's
right
really
here.
Whack. Yeah, it's
yeah.
really whack.
You don't even have a bathroom, homie.
Yeah, but it just showed like they, how successful they got.
Yeah, and it is crazy. I remember when I first heard that story being fucking. Like being like my childhood has been a lie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gave me He-Man toys and no story behind it, and meanwhile I had no idea.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and He-Man, and what they kind of said with He-Man and Ninja Turtles is that they make these resurgence. Like they die off.
Yeah.
And then they bring them back in another form.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. There's been 2 or 3 versions of Ninja Turtles. Since the original.
For sure. Yeah, the worst ones, it really falls apart when they make their shells into book bags, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They say, fuck it, let's make their shells into.
That's awesome.
These are actually based on.
If I could just get those to hang up.
Yeah, this is based on the latest.
That's movies, the movie, man.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah, that's the 90's movie, not like the.
Yeah.
The Michael Mann joints.
Yeah, the Michael Mann joints are a disservice to.
Yeah.
They made him 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
He said his excuse for it was so dumb. It was like, well, they're mutated. What are they going to be small? I was like, well, it's fiction, asshole. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ, sticks of heat. Can you believe that the same man who made Heat made this trash movie? How fucking dare you?
Well, it makes sense. It makes sense because there come 2 completely different movies.
Yeah.
And if you did one good, you can't do both of those movies good.
Yeah. And yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
That's, dude, if I could buy those, like I would in a heartbeat.
Yeah, currently out of stock. Yeah, this is definitely the first movie one.
Oh yeah.
Because then the later movies they start getting spots for whatever reason.
Oh, remember that? How the weapons were.
Yeah. But then if you had that little piece left on the top, it would scratch the shit out of you. If you didn't get like a clean rip on it,
and you would still try to use the guts for something.
Oh, for sure. It was another weapon. You know what I mean? I'm gonna hit you with this L bracket right here. Don't catch this L.
Yeah, with this piece of a coat rack.
Yeah. Oh man, I miss toys. I'm about to go back and start playing them. It would probably be so goddamn therapeutic.
Toys are awesome, bro.
I used to do Royal Rumbles. Toys it made me.
Yeah.
How is Optimus Prime fighting Duke from G.I. Joe? You know what I mean? It's 2 different weight classes.
Do you remember your storyline? I remember like I had someone had gifted me. Basically, it was like a drum of like random toys, but then there was like a lot of blocks, and then like a truck was in there. So So this was my storyline, and this kind of like I always loved the survival storyline.
For sure.
Of like having some sort of like boat or vehicle that you were like was your base. And so like I had in the drum came like this truck with a crane on it, but it was like probably this big.
Okay.
And I added pieces to it to make it real big. So then like there was like a almost like not a cockpit, but what is that? On the top of the boat, so like people can see from far.
The deck?
You know, the guy who's like, oh, the Titanic, you know, the iceberg straight ahead.
The deck? I don't know, man. I don't know anything about boats.
You know that thing that is on top that they put on the top of the boat? So, no. And the guy would stay all the way at the top to make sure icebergs didn't. Oh, whatever.
Well, it didn't work well because they still ran into the iceberg.
Well, yeah. I mean, he said iceberg straight ahead. Hadouken. He got that out.
So anyway, so somebody had to make it to the top of this.
Yeah. So I would have a guy. One of my guys would be like the lookout, or he would have a gun, of course, like at the top.
Yeah.
And this vehicle would just move, and then I would have like the bad guys attack it. You know, and like whatever. But like I made it ended up becoming like this big thing. You know, like on wheels, and you know, like all my guys had a specific position on.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like those guys who don't really fit the action figure thing that, you know, that like I would just have like a regular dude.
Yeah.
Who was like a Fisher Price person, and he'd just be a driver.
Yeah.
So
just the Lego guys driving.
Yeah. they would die. You know, those were the guys who you weren't linked.
Head pop right off anyway. So
yeah, but you know, the thing is, like now that you know we have somewhat disposable income, right? We can spend our money. Like we have money. Like you could just buy as many toys as you want, and now it just does nothing for you.
Don't tell Lucas that, because a motherfucker's gonna come start asking for toys. Not that he's a motherfucker. I'm sorry. Shout out to my son, my child, my pride and joy. You know.
Won't catch me slipping if I'm actually thinking you're acting different. Mad experience sounds of manic depressing going through.